Hi there, Sue Sagaris here again. This is video number 3 in the series of building the bridge from reacting to relating in the way that we have conversations with people, particularly people who are important to us. But really it could be with anybody once we master this practice. So the first video we talked about the way that it feels to be in either of those states. And in the second video, we talked about the elements of the bridge that needed to be constructed. And that was to do with vulnerability, transparency, and being total. And it did require an element of risk. So today, I just want to drill down a little bit on that and talk about the context within which you can take a certain type of risk in that process of opening up your relationship, opening up your conversation, so that you're no longer trapped in the mundane, hi, how's it going? Oh yeah, fine, thanks, when it's actually not really fine, or the unhad conversation that you really needed to have with someone to tell them perhaps something about the way that you're interacting that you would really like to change, or perhaps it's a sharing that you need to do. You need someone to listen perhaps to whatever is going on in you at the moment that you would like to have mirrored and reflected back, and you would like to create a space of deep listening. Because as I said before, in the space of deep listening is where even more can be revealed. And sometimes we don't know where that's going to lead, and that can feel risky, and it sometimes is risky. So what can we do to have this process be as safe and satisfying as possible? I guess the elements of the context that I find really important are, number one, establishing that there is a level of permission between the people involved, is that we are going to have a conversation that's a little bit less ordinary and a bit more truthful. We're going to have the space to be able to do this, where we're not necessarily going to be interrupted or distracted, and it's going to be designated as a supporting and sharing conversation, not necessarily something that needs to solve all the world's problems or even all our problems in that very moment. The other aspect to this too is your own preparation for the conversation, which doesn't necessarily need to be, I prepare now for this conversation tomorrow. It's more around a state of being that you are willing to generate and prepare for yourself. Let me explain. When we're busy all the time, we are prone to reacting anyway, because we get to a level where we can't take too much more input, and so we tend to want to push things away or simplify them or make them into sound bites, and that doesn't really help adequate interrelating. So we need to make sure that we're not always too busy. How do we do that? In order to be present as not always too busy, we actually need to make a practice of taking time out. So embracing solitude is really important. And in that period where we're embracing solitude, we're not doing other things. We're not, we're not listening to a video or a podcast while we're walking in the park. We're actually just walking in the park. We're not trying to multitask and be efficient. If we're having solitude, if we've decided to give ourselves a bit of space, we might be having a sleep in one day, or we might be stopping work earlier, or we might be just sitting and doing nothing for a little while. Or we might dedicate a whole day or a whole week to unstructured, nothing in particular. It all depends for each of us, how much have we got bottled up? To what extent are we really feeling alienated? To what extent are we feeling drained? This will determine the level of solitude that we need to have immediately, and then how much do we need to have ongoingly to be able to sustain ourselves in order to show up with presence for our bridge building conversation. The other element is also sometimes we need to protect ourselves energetically if we are going to open up and be fully transparent more of the time. And that is another conversation. So I said I was going to do 3 videos, and obviously now I'm going to do 4 because I want to talk about how to protect ourselves energetically, and that will be the subject of the next video. So stay tuned, and if you would like help with any of these tips that I'm offering, please private message me and organize a one-to-one chat. I would be more than happy to meet and greet and chat with you and find something that will work exactly for your situation at your time. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon. Bye.